Today, I'm going to review probably one of the coolest mods ever, the Celestisynth mod. This mod adds a bunch of new weapons to Minecraft that all turn Minecraft into a literal anime. So stick around and enjoy. What's going on, guys? How are you doing? Today, I'm going to review and discuss probably one of the coolest mods ever, and it's called Celestisynth. Celestisynth. Yes, Celestisynth. Whoa! And we have a bunch of stuff in this chest that we have to discuss. So let's start with discussing what this mod is actually about. Celestisynth is a Minecraft mod that adds brand new swords to Minecraft that all have really cool attacks and abilities. These are pretty late game, so you can't get them like early in survival, but it's still really cool if you can actually get them. But it is not going to be easy. First up, to craft these swords, you need the Celestial Workbench. If I place that down right here, you can see it has this really nice animation and also like a fire sound. It works like a normal crafting bench, but for the swords basically. And all these swords always require either a supernatural netherite ingot or a celestial netherite ingot. Now, how do you craft these, you ask? Well, due to the 1.20 changes to netherite, you actually need netherite upgrade templates to turn normal netherite ingots with a ghast tier or with a celestial core into supernatural netherite ingots, and you can smelt these supernatural netherite ingots into celestial netherite ingots. Now, a bunch of the swords actually also require like solar crystals or some other deposits or shards, and you can find most of them in geodes that spawn around your world, containing blocks like these guys that drop shards and stuff like that. And some also require a heated celestial core, which is basically a celestial core. The crafting recipes are all of these, smelted into a heated celestial core. Now that we've discussed all the boring parts, it's time to get to the cool new weapons and what their abilities are. First, let me gear up a little, and let's discuss the first sword, Solaris. Look at this beautiful model. Look at this, and the animation. It's so crazy. Also, you probably have already noticed, I have the Better Combat mod installed, which works flawlessly with this mod. So, but the weapons basically work the same in vanilla Minecraft, so yeah. So this is the basic attack, and it's pretty fast. I think it's like a normal diamond sword. And if I spawn a husk here, you can see that the sword lights the enemy on fire. It does 8 attack damage and has 1.4 attack speed and 4 attack range. Now, I promised you guys some cool abilities, which is exactly what the sword has. If you go into your inventory and you actually hover over it, you can see it has passives and skills. The passives I already explained, it's lighting the enemies on fire, but the skills are what the coolest thing is about these swords. So, if you hold shift, they actually get explained right here. Now this is cool and all, but let me show you it. And now let's press right click. That was so cool, dude! Again, this is what it looks in first person. And they generate these like really cool particles, I think. And if you use this with enemies, it does this, which is very effective. Although this attack is very hard to actually hit, since you don't really have any control over the attack. So my favorite ability of this sword is probably the shift right clicking, which is this. It transforms into like a soulfire sword and then just propels you forward. This is so awesome, dude. The coolest thing I found out about this sword, if you like aim it against the wall, it just stays in place and like spams on the enemies. Let's see that again. So it's basically an instant kill, but it's still so awesome. Okay, that was Solaris. Now let's move on to Crescent. Why are all these swords so hard to pronounce, bro? This is making me so mad. Crescentia. Okay. First up, the model looks so awesome. It does 9 attack damage, has 1.3 attack speed, and 4 attack range. It deals quite a lot of damage, and it's just generally really cool. But the abilities, oh boy, the abilities. If I just normally right-click, it creates a fireworks show in sort of like an area of effect, and it also does like really crazy damage. Instantly dead. The second attack is actually a bit more technical, which is a ranged attack that explodes on impact with blocks. And also after a short while, it will just explode if it doesn't find any blocks to explode to. That was Crescentia. Now let's move on to one of my personal favorites, Breezebraker. So first up, you can immediately tell it kind of leaves a light path behind where you walked, and you jump super high and do flips. Switching into creative is also like really funny. This sword does 6 attack damage, has an attack speed of 2, and has 3.5 attack range, so it might not look actually that powerful, but the cool thing about this sword is the versatility it has, because this sword actually has 5 different skills rather than the 2 that we're used to. The first one is Gale Storm, where we just right click and we do this like swipe, which does a lot of damage, or we could hold right click and we do a double slash. Right clicking while sprinting will do this cool anime dash thing where you teleport forward and push mobs back. So it looks sort of like this. And also, after you swing a while, you actually get sort of a boost in speed and agility, and you just attack really fast. It's really cool. The third attack is when you shift right click, you send a tornado. If you aim right next to them, it actually could deal a lot of damage. But if you like hit the mob, the tornado will stop, which is, I'm not sure if it's intentional. The last attack we have is right clicking mid-air, where you do this. Full on Tanjiro water wheel style. I love the sword so much because it can just do like hit or run things. It's so overpowered, dude. I love it so much. So that was Breezebreaker. Now we'll move on to Aquaflora. Aquaflora seems to be one of the weakest swords with 3 attack damage, 2.9 attack speed, and 4 attack range. You can attack with it really fast, but it barely does any damage. But this sword is probably really good because of its technical side, and I will show you what that is. So firstly, if we right click, we do sort of like a little, I don't know, magic spell thing. Get off of my property. But this sword actually has 2 stages. This is the normal stage, but then if we shift right click, as you can see, it changed its color and sort of its model. Now it has a new right click function, which you can use really good on a horde of enemies. And when I say these swords feel like you're in an anime and you don't believe me, just watch. This is so cool. You like do anime teleportation and then slicing them. But you might have realized it barely killed any of them. That's also one of the flaws. It's just not very powerful. But what if you have 2? Let's go! Dual wield, baby! And now you could do this! That was incredible. The cool thing is, this doesn't just work on hordes of enemies, it can also just work on one giant enemy. So let's summon a giant, and now let's look at this. Again! It's so awesome. I can't get over it. So cool. And now if we exit out of this stage again, we're back in the normal stage. Now what I forgot to mention is that switching between stage is also considered an attack. For instance, switching into the powerful state, you do sort of like a head bash, where you knock the enemies in the air, and if you go back to the normal stage, you pull the enemies towards you. That was Aquaflora. I really like it. It's very technical and good for people who like agility and anime and, I don't know, edits, I guess. Now, let's move on to the big bad Poltergeist. So Poltergeist, I really love this model. It looks so awesome and so badass. Now, Poltergeist has 11 attack damage, 0.9 attack speed, and 3.5 attack range, which probably makes it one of the strongest weapons damage-wise in this mod. You just two-shot mobs. Now, the first ability is shift right clicking, and what it does is it propels you upwards and backwards while creating sort of like a shield, also propelling enemies backwards, so it's very good on defense. So imagine I was like getting attacked by all these husks, right? And I'm in full netherite armor, but I'm still a wimp. I could just do this. Get back! And now I can also see that the enemies have a green flame, which basically indicates that we can use the right-click attack. And the right-click attack does this! What? Now, what you have just witnessed is the right-click attack. You bash onto the ground and Ender energy breaks through the ground. And if these enemies are infected with the green fire, it spawns a giant Ender Eye entity that will suck other enemies in and deal damage with them too. So it's really good for like really strong bursts of attacks, and then also swiftly retreating. Go! See? It's sucking them in. Get killed, L. I believe it's probably really good for some players who just want to bash and do a lot of damage. So next up, we have probably one of the worst weapons, which is Rainfall Serenity. And it's just what you expect. It's a bow. It's just like a really strong bow with weird animations. But it also looks really cool. And now they have a little marker. If you shoot this marker, it sort of creates like an arrow rain around the enemy, so I believe it's good for multiple enemies. Oh my god, I hate babies! So the bow is basically good for people who are just flat out lame. That was a joke. Please don't attack me in the comments. Please, 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 please. I don't want to get bullets. It's probably good in some scenarios where you just don't want to engage melee with a foe. But other than that, I don't really like it. Now, we moved on to the final weapon, the Frostbound, which was added in the latest update. Now, look at this beautiful model. Like, bro, this is so awesome. It does 10 attack damage, has an attack speed of 1.3, and has an attack range of 5, which is the farthest of all the weapons. And as you can see, that is its ability. It freezes enemies, makes them slower, and they can't attack you anymore. But the coolest thing about this scythe is its skill. Watch this. Kaboom! This is also like really good for hordes of enemies. It's just so awesome. I love it so much. And the second ability, which is shift right clicking, does this. I actually once had a server with these weapons. It died in a matter of months, but we're not here to talk about that, okay? So that were all the weapons that are in this mod. Now you craft these weapons with the materials I showed you in the beginning, and sometimes it also uses like different materials. Poppies for Aquaflora, I'm not sure what that is about, but still, this is really, really cool. Now, there's actually one last thing I want to show you guys. You can actually combine these weapons with an elytra. Now, this may seem a bit weird, but using Solaris and combining that with the elytra actually sends you flying at incredible speeds. Let me demonstrate it to you. So let's put on the elytra. Let's get Solaris. Let's jump off this edge, and then we'll right click and let's see what happens. Look at that, we're flying! And if we shift right click, we get sent flying even quicker. Another cool thing is that you can just completely negate when you were just falling. Cancel. So that was the Celestisynth mod, completely reviewed. I hope you learned something, I hope you download the mod because it's really cool, and I hope you subscribe because actually 99.99999% of people watching aren't actually subscribed.